It has been over 20 years since we started MotoringFile, and over that time, we have had a number of minis, as you can imagine. I personally have had several of my own minis, and I've been lucky enough to have a lot of long-term test cars from Mini USA, of course. So that's great and all, but it has been a long time since I've actually had my own Mini. There's been other folks that are involved in MotoringFile that certainly have them. Todd and DB all have had Minis recently. Todd has two right now, and there are others. But for me personally, it's actually been since 2007 since I have ordered and taken delivery of my own Mini. So that needs to change. And I can't think of a better time for that to change, because we have right now a huge changeover in terms of the brand. We're moving from the third generation to the fourth generation cars, and there's some big changes along the way. There's some new things, of course. There's a lot more electrification. The Countryman is going to be electric. Next year, it'll be out in the United States next Q3, maybe late summer, early fall. And the manual transmission is going away, and the Clubman is going away. And the thing that is really important to note there is, as if you've read MotoringFile, those are two of the favorite things we have in the Mini range. The manual transmission F56, especially in JCW form, such a great car. In fact, in any form, they're just fun cars to drive. And of course, the Clubman, which is my personal favorite product on sale today. So what I would like to do is I would like to bring one of those home, and I'd like to actually order one of those before they're gone. I looked at the F56 in great detail, as you can imagine. I know those cars extremely well. I've tracked them. I've driven them for thousands, tens of thousands of miles. I know it very well. And of course, the limitation is size, and the benefit is size. For me, unfortunately, it's going to be difficult knowing the carpooling, dog, road trips, all the stuff that I do rely on a slightly larger car for. It'll be hard to fit that in literally and figuratively with the F56. So with great regret, I have to pass up that opportunity to buy one of the last manual transmission Minis. My other manual transmission cars will have to hold me over. So my eyes have really kind of turned towards the Clubman, and not just any Clubman, but the Clubman JCW. 306 horsepower, or 301, depending on how you measure your horsepowers, is an incredible figure in a car that size. All-wheel drive, four doors, a fair amount of utility. It is lower and lighter than the Countryman. It is a better performer. It feels better. It's more efficient. Everything about it is better than the Countryman, and we've talked about this a lot on MotoringFile. Maybe except for the rear hatch in the Countryman is clearly a more logical choice. The barn doors in the Clubman are kind of cool, but that aside, I am totally ready to go down the street to my local Mini dealer and order a Clubman JCW. And so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it with my own money. I'm going to put my money where my mouth has been over the past few years. And I'm going to go to my local dealer, which is Mini of Glencoe. And I'm going to work together with a salesperson there, as you would, and spec the car as I would like to spec it, knowing everything I know about these cars, the ins and outs of them, some of the little secrets in terms of how you spec them. And if all goes well, take delivery in a few months. So let's go. So back from the dealer, and a bit of bad news. I was going to bring the camera in there and film, but we didn't have much to film because, as it turns out, they don't have an allocation that they thought they did. In fact, they showed me, and this is wild, there are only 10 allocations left in the United States for a JCW Clubman, 10 that are still modifiable. There's perhaps something on a boat right now, something that's on its way, but that's all that's actually orderable at this point. To make matters worse, there's really nothing. There's two in the Midwest. And so Mini of Glencoe, which is my dealer, of course I'm still here, is going to do some horse trading. They're going to trade their JCW Countryman that they still have available, the F60, for the Clubman, which looks like it's probably something they can do. And then once I get the verification that's been done, we'll come back in and make the official order happen. So really exciting on that front, but to be honest with you, a little bit of a snag and a little bit of butterflies right now, because there's no guarantees that this car is actually going to happen at this point. Speaking of, this is it. So I'm going to talk about the spec very, very briefly, and then hopefully the next step is a verified order. But I have gone with the John Cooper Works Mini Clubman, as I spoke about earlier, 2024 in iconic trim, which, if you don't mind a little bit more cash, of course, it's a great call, just from a savings perspective. There's a lot that you get with the car. I'm going to go with the John Cooper Works Rebel Green, which is a rare color in that it is going away. This is the last car and last generation that'll have it. It's being replaced by Legend Gray. Fine color, but not green, and quite frankly, less interesting to me. 19-inch JCW circuit spoke wheels. That is crucially going to be on the sport suspension, which is not the adaptive. It's slightly lower than the adaptive suspension. A little bit rougher riding, and there's no adaptability, of course. But to be honest with you, having driven both, it feels better. It's a better ride for what I want out of the car. Then finally, multi-tone roof in white. Really excited about this. It's going to pick up some of those sort of classic JCW cues, but it is also it's interesting. I mean, the multi-tone with the melting silver, it's got this sort of hint of warm gray into black. Should be cool. Should be really, really cool. So, of course, the sport automatic transmission would be great if there was something else, but it's still a fine transmission. I'm doing roof rails. I know that's kind of weird for a lot of people. If you're spending the money on the multi-tone roof, I don't care. I need to put stuff on that roof, and I like the look, actually. I'd like to put who knows what goes up there eventually. And then, of course, you've got a ton of stuff that comes with active cruise, performance tires. There's so much that comes with the iconic package, which is really, really exciting. But as far as the actual interior, I'm gonna do and there was a lot of thought about this, Chesterfield leather malt brown. That is a combo with that Rebel Green that I'm really excited about. I think it's gonna feel a little bit like a classic British car. It's got white piping. I think it's gonna blend together really, really nicely. Also gonna do the Mini Yours style fiber alloy illuminated trim. It's essentially the metal trim. It's sort of a herringbone pattern. I like the look. I've had it in the past on a Clubman. It's, for me, I'm kind of over the piano black everywhere, and it's a real piece of metal in the car. At one point, believe it or not, it was a $1,000 option for these cars. No more, thankfully, but that's something that I definitely want to add to this. And so that's pretty much it. There's so much that comes standard on these cars in iconic trim that it's really difficult to. I mean, here's the standard list, which, you know, there's a lot there, of course, but then you get into iconic versus Mini Untold, iconic, and signature. You can just see the list of iconic. It's long, and there's just a lot here. Heads up, active cruise, wireless charging, alarm system, everything pretty much, which is cool. We went over ad nauseum the things you can't order with certain things. I'm attempting to get manual seats in this car, even though you technically can't. TBD on that. We will see. I like the notion of saving weight, and also gives you a tiny bit more headroom from my experience. And then as far as wheels, as I mentioned, going with the 19-inch, the circuit spoke two-tone wheels with the non-run flat tires. Of course, I'll have a mobility kit in the back as well. And yeah, I mean, it's exciting, you know, even taking a look at some of the accessories. I mean, there's certainly a lot of things there that do help, you know, with the car ultimately. Luggage compartment mat, rubber floor mats as well. JCW floating center caps. Talk me out of it. I think it's kind of a cool idea. We'll see. So that's it. I've really come back to this notion of, this is it. There's 10 left. And I said it earlier on MotoringFile. It's ASAP. If you want a Clubman and you want a JCW, it is ASAP. There's not a lot of time. And quite frankly, you probably have to find the dealers that have them. So luckily, I think I've gotten in with my dealer working hard to make it happen, Mini of Glencoe. Huge thanks to them. And next up, it's us, hopefully, fingers crossed, clicking a button to order. See you then. Well, that didn't take long because the button has been clicked. I am so happy to say that I have a Mini Clubman JCW on order. The dealer, Mini of Glencoe, that I'm working with, was able to do a swap with Dreyer Reinbold Mini for their one of the last 8. Actually, I kept on talking about there being 10. There's only 8. And I have that now in my name in the queue. It is ordered, and it was just like that. So the same day, in fact, we heard back, and it was successfully placed in the queue. Spec the car, and it's ready to roll. So next thing we're going to hear about is production dates. We're going to hear about, of course, delivery dates, etc. Just so thrilled with the responsiveness of Mini of Glencoe and Mini USA, who behind the scenes supports these sort of transitions as well, or transactions, I should say. Yeah, what else? What else can I say? It's in my name. It's coming. Can't wait for it to be on the ground, and of course talk about accessories, talk about break-in, the whole thing. So as always, follow for more on my new car, and follow for a ton of Mini news as well coming up. Stay tuned.